Vincent O'Sullivan was an American writer. Born in 1868 in New York, the son of Irish immigrant Eugene O'Sullivan and Christine O'Sullivan, and educated at Columbia Grammar School, Oscar Roman Catholic College, and Oxford. He was a member of a rich family until his family coffee business went into ruin thanks to speculations by his brother Percy in 1909. He died in 1940 in Paris and was thrown into a pauper's grave, only for his body to be exhumed and thrown somewhere else without being claimed or buried. He was friends with Aubrey Beardsley and Oscar Wilde. Robert Aickman said his story When I Was Dead is a very rictus or spasm of guilt, while his novel The Good Girl was highly praised by Aickman and John Cooper Powys. We will review his first work of fiction, his 1896 A Book of Bargains. The stories are noted to be inspired by Poe, who was one of the writers whose lack of success during their lifetime O'Sullivan bemoaned. The Bargain of Rupert Orange has the titular Rupert Orange achieve success on the verge of starvation after his inheritance got taken from him by accepting the offer of a strange old man who promises him 5 years of unnatural success, luxury, and imperviousness to death if he agrees to die at the end of those 5 years. And he does do all he can think of to test his own seeming immortality before the inevitable bitter end. My enemy and myself as the narrator meet a girl, then being oblivious to the fact a seeming friend has taken his place behind his back, realizing it, and trying to settle things in a very brutal way. But then one does not expect the very literal corpse of one's victim to knock at one's door a few hours later. The business of Madame Jean has her nephew and heir hang himself a week after her death, and his inheritance of her money and her shop, both of which he needed to keep up his pretentious dandy lifestyle among high society in Paris. But soon, his aunt comes back to the shop, and each day she appears, she grows older and older, from a young girl to herself as she was when he stabbed her on the 6th day, and then the 7th day arrives. A study in murder has a man meet his friend Gladwin, intent on suicide because his beloved refuses to marry him. All the while, Gladwin's friend has a letter to the contrary in his pocket, but goads him on to not back out of suicide. Original Sin concerns Alphonse Dauber and his infatuation with a certain young widow, hampered somewhat by bizarre, unexplained, and pointless fixation of his, a desire to take her 5-year-old daughter and strangle her for no reason other than he really wants to. An idea he cannot seem to get rid of no matter how hard he tries. When I Was Dead has the narrator Alistair explain his crackpot idea that if one rests near some drops of blood, one may visualize a person in front of them. But one time he does this, he seems to die, and no one around him notices as he yells at them to notice him, as they carry away his body for burial. This one, despite the praise from Aickman, seems a bit open-ended, which may be why he liked it. Hugo Raven's Hand concerns Hugo Raven, his upcoming marriage, and his insistent former mistress, who he decides to dispose of after a talk with his friend the doctor, whom he gets drunk to take some poison off him, but then he stabs her instead. Most of the stories are interesting, though the content, despite some variety, has a bit of a samey feeling when read from beginning to end.